Okay, girls, so the purpose of this analysis is to get you to start thinking about the different opportunities you have when you have the ball, different players you could have passed to, and just to get you thinking about the space that you do have around you when you think you don't. So basically what we're going to do is each clip I've taken from each game, we're going to watch once without any voiceover, so you can start to think about what was wrong with the clip or what was right with the clip. There's a mix of both. What I would do then is I would pause it once you've watched it, start to think about maybe why I've selected that clip, and then we're going to rewind it, watch it again, and I'm going to start doing some analysis on that little clip. Alright, so let's watch the first one now. Okay, so now I'll pause it for you, think about what happened, and now I'm going to go back and analyze it for you. Okay. So as we can see, we've got Anna with the ball. Let's play it a little bit. Stop right here. So, as we can see, she's got a couple of options open at the moment. She's got Katie Ryan here, and she's got Katie Bridgman here. As you can see, Katie Bridgman is actually in front of this player here. So what Anna could have done is put a through ball into this area here for Bridgman to run onto. However, she doesn't do that. So, let's keep watching. As you can see now, Anna's got about 4 players who have all committed to the ball. Anna has still got Katie Ryan here. She's still got Bridgman here. Maybe getting a little bit late to put the through ball in because of potential interception and close to the goalie. But there still is that opportunity to make a through ball to Katie Bridgman. I just want you to get the idea that we don't have to pass it straight to a player. We can pass it in front of the player for them to run onto. Also, I want to make note of Abdog here. She's too busy watching the ball, and unfortunately she isn't running fast enough onto that post. So if Anna was to push to the right post, then there wouldn't be anyone on the post for it. However, Anna still doesn't make the pass, so let's keep watching. Now what's happened is the tackler who was on Bridgman has committed to the tackle and cramped Anna up for space. Now since she's cramped her up for space, she's unable to make the shot, and so what happens at the end of the day is she makes a little soft pass to the goalkeeper, which is, the goalkeepers will take that any day. Okay, so I just want you to get the idea that we need to be making passes early, because although you might think you have free space like Anna thought she did when she was running down the field, there are a hell of a lot of players who are coming back to back tackle you and tackle you from behind. So that's the job of the players around you, to be letting you know that there's a man coming or a girl coming to tackle you, and you want to make that early pass. And I think that's the thing we're not doing so much at the moment, is you're looking in front of you, you've got your blinkers on thinking that you've got space, but in actual fact we don't. Okay, because there's players coming up from behind us, so making those early passes will ensure that those back tacklers aren't going to tackle us. So there were a couple of options that she could have made. Instead she decided to run the ball herself, and the end result was that she got tackled and she wasn't able to make the shot. That little scenario there, girls, probably should have been an easy goal if the pass had been made to Bridgman early. That would have given her free space to shoot at goal. Okay, so let's pause that there, and let's move on to the next one. Okay, girls, so let's watch the next clip. It's a penalty corner, and the end result is a goal. Okay, so there was some good stuff that happened within this clip, but there's also some stuff that I want you to think about that possibly could have happened, that could have made the play a little bit better. So let's watch it first, and then we'll go back and analyse it. Okay, so let's rewind that, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's start this. We'll watch the first part without any voice because there's not much I need to say, and then we'll get into it. Stop here. Right, so as you can see, Georgia's starting to take the ball out to the side, okay, and then she eventually takes it to the baseline, or I assume she takes it to the baseline. I can't see on the video, but I'm pretty sure she does. Okay, so if we just watch this a little bit further as she takes it out to that baseline, as she goes, we have players to burn around here. We have Abby here, Okay, Anna's at the top there. Bridgman's free. Katie Ryan's free. Now, I think the good thing about a penalty corner, and you guys don't realise, is that we've got extra numbers compared to them on attack. So it's really important that we're making our passes nice and early, and this happens anywhere in the attacking region. We want to make quick passes in the circle to not allow defenders to come and tackle us. The more we hold on to the ball, the more time it allows for these defenders back here to be running back and marking, which is what they're doing at the moment. Okay, so as you can see, what could have possibly happened here as Georgia starts to drag out a little bit further is she had Abby as a dump pass. She could have made a dump pass back to Abby. This Southern player was already running in this direction, so she wouldn't have been able to get back to tackle her if she had made the shot. So that pass could have come back to Abby, okay, and then she could have had a direct shot at goal. Or she could have passed to one of these other players here or back to Anna for a shot. Okay, instead, Georgia decided to take it down to the baseline, which isn't bad, but we're allowing time, and as you can see now, the Southern players start to come into that circle. If we've made that dump pass back to Abby and then made the shot, it would have been a lot more likely to score straight away, and we did end up scoring, which was good though. So if we keep watching, the ball's going to come back in towards Bridgman, and what I want you to see is the shot Bridgman makes here. Now, the GoPro that's recording this is actually on the goal. So, as you can see, Bridgman's actually shooting out here to what I assume is Katie Ryan on the post. I'm not sure if she was free or not, but the pass went to her, okay, instead of shooting straight at goal, which is a thing that we did really well at the Central Zones tournament. And something what I want to think more of is passing to our post or the players on the post or the wings instead of taking a direct shot at goal. If Bridgman had taken a direct shot at goal, and whether she did this intentionally or whether her position was just that it went there, it ended up being a goal instead of shooting it straight at the goalie. So, if we continue watching, that ball comes all the way over to Katie Ryan. Who knows what happens now? I would say Bridgman probably wants to be on that dot a bit more. Okay, and obviously, I think Abby was the wing there, should not be standing there. We've got two players now that are free in this area here. Okay, we don't need two players there. We need Abby running into that wing area. So we've got to make sure that wing's always occupied. Now, if Georgia realised that the post wasn't occupied, that could have been her job to go to that post if Abby wasn't there. So sometimes, girls, if there's no one on the post, just whoever is around can take that post. And then if we finish watching the clip, the ball obviously goes in the goal as you guys celebrate. So, let's move on to the next clip. We'll watch it, and then you guys can... I'll analyse it, alright? So let's watch it. Okay, so let's rewind it and let's watch that again. Alrighty, so what I want to see here is Anna's got the ball. The ball's over here if you didn't know. Okay, so the line that I want to focus on in this clip is Lottie's line. So Lottie's in this area here, okay, and she's starting to run on this diagonal, okay, over here. Now, if the ball came through now from Anna, that would be a fantastic ball for her to take on. Then Abby over here could run post, and it'd be a nice little 1-2 shoot and score. I want to pay particular emphasis on getting in front of our player, and this is something that Lottie didn't do in this clip. So if we continue to watch it a little bit more, we can see that Lottie is continuing to run this angle. We get the pen going. It's continuing to run this angle here, but her player is also running that same angle. So they're running parallel to each other, which means that if this ball did come through and was close to these two players here, Lottie and her defender, the Southern defender is always going to get it because she's always in front of Lottie. So the line that Lottie needs to run in this situation is slightly more of an angle like that, okay? Because that means that Lottie's going to then get in front of the player and she's going to receive the ball. This is a fantastic little gap, and if Anna saw it, would have been a fantastic through ball, and it's that idea that we can pass the ball through to a player instead of having to pass straight to them. So that ball could have come through the gap into here for Lottie to then run onto, as I suggested before. But the fact of the matter is, and this is what I wanted to really emphasize in this, is Lottie's run. I do not want you to continue running on an angle if your player in front of you is running that same angle. They're always going to intercept it, and we need to be getting in front of our player. So Lottie, in this case, needed to make that angle run that way instead of that way, so she could get in front of her player, so when the ball came through to her, she could receive the pass quite easily. Okay, so let's continue watching that so you can see the line that Lottie runs and see the line that she should have run. Okay? Right. Now let's keep watching. Obviously, Anna's cut back in. Nice little play from her. You can see that this player here possibly could have pushed up a little bit further, so she could have made that supporting role for Anna. However, she didn't. So we've got to continue for what we're doing. And as we continue moving forward a little bit more, this is the chance. Now, Abby's not even looking at what the play's going on. I don't know why. Lottie is looking. Okay, and as you can see, there's a bit of a space in this area here. Now, Anna could quite easily reverse it as she comes a bit further forward into the space. And this is what Lottie's doing really well here. She's moving into that space. So that ball could have come through to Lottie now. A little bit stationary from her. She could have been moving a little bit faster. Okay, but that's the idea, that that ball should be coming through. And I think that's what Anna's trying to do. But unfortunately, she loses balance. She's also got a supporting player here if she needed it. But I don't think she was looking at that area. So if we continue watching, she tries to make that pass. Now, unfortunately, when we try and reverse push pass on our upright stick, it's a lot harder. What I would have done in this situation is done a reverse stick sweep. Okay, a lot more power, and she would have got the ball through through Lottie. Sorry, but unfortunately, there wasn't enough power in it. A bit slow, and the player came and tackled her. But that's the idea, that we need to be getting into those spaces, and we're starting to do that. Yeah. In that clip there, but it's just the idea of moving a little bit faster, pushing the ball in front of our player, and making leads that are in front of our defender and not parallel to them. So let's move on to the next clip now. Okay, girls, so let's watch this clip. A little bit more subtle in terms of what we're looking for. There's a little subtle bit in this. So really focus on the player. I really want you to focus on Jess, who I think is playing as a left inner. Okay, but also looking at Katie Ryan in this one as well. So let's watch the clip first, and then we'll analyse it. Okay, so just a short one this time. So let's rewind a little bit. Get back to the place where I'm at. Oh, too far. Okay. So I'm just going to pause it here. And what I first want to identify is who I think, and I'm trying best with my eyes, and you guys are quite small on this in the screen, who they are. But I think, however, I think it might be Katie Ryan. She continues to run this line here. I don't know if she identifies it, or as you can see though, there's this massive space in this area here. Okay, this is the line that Katie Ryan could have run, so Lottie could have made a ball through to that area. Okay, so it's that idea of identifying the space and running into it. Although she's a wing, yeah, Lottie's a centre forward, and she's not taking this channel. Oh, I'll get rid of some of these lines. She's not taking this channel here because she's got the ball. So this might be the idea, that Katie Ryan moves into the space so the ball could come through. Okay, so that's one option that you could have thought of, but instead she continues to run that same line towards that player there. Okay, the other person I want you to focus on is Jess here. Now, it's this idea that we want to be getting players square of the ball. Okay, so we've got Katie Ryan here who is square, yeah, but on the other side, we don't have anyone that's square. So she can't give that pass away if she wants to. And obviously that's her 4-stick side, so it's easier for her to make that pass than to make that pass to her reverse side towards Katie Ryan. So if we continue watching a little bit further, you can see that Jess here, well, I don't know if it's Jess, I think it is, whoever it is jogging towards that area. She needs to be square of Lottie, so she's giving that support pass to her. Okay? So let's keep watching. Obviously, she loses the ball. She has no passing options. And as you can see, that player there is still jogging. That's in the circle at the moment. So I just want this idea that if the player has a ball, we always need to have players square of the player with the ball, and we always need to have players straight of the player. So that idea is Katie Ryan could have come straight, okay, giving that through ball, and that player there, whoever that is, could have ran a little bit faster and got square of Lottie, so Lottie could have made that offload pass square. Okay, we just need to be supporting our players a little bit more. Too many times we're jogging as the player in front of us has got the ball, and we're just watching to see what happens. We're not a spectator when we're on the field, girls. We're a player. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so as a game, we'll watch this clip, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so I think I feel like I'm targeting Lottie a bit. What I want to focus on here is Lottie again, and the position that she's playing. Alright, so she is playing as a centre forward in this clip. Alright, so we're going to rewind it, and then we'll watch it again. Okay, so, positionally very well here. She's made to that dot, okay, playing very, very well. Now, as the ball comes through, and as a player, girls, you've got to trust that your players are in the right positions. Okay, so obviously we had this player here, don't know who that is, might have been Anna, is playing as Nina. She's in that position. She should be there. That's her position in the circle, and she's got there quite nicely. Okay, as you can see, let's keep going. The ball is obviously taken to her. Now what happens is Lottie goes for the ball when the ball is supposed to go to Anna there. Okay, so as the balls come to Anna, Lottie's left her dot. Now what could have happened here, obviously talking about those short passes, there could have been a short pass to the player on the dot who should have been there. Okay, instead we've committed to the ball, and we've got two players on the ball. Okay, talking about Jess here, I'd want her a little bit further in the circle. Okay, just so if the ball's rebounded out, she can easily trap it. Okay, so if we keep watching, we're not on a very good angle here, Anna. We're shooting straight to the player, and it's easy pickings to them. Alright, so what I would have suggested there is if Lottie was still on the dot, there could have been a quick pass to Lottie. Then she had both angles to shoot for at the goal, so she could have gone either way at the goal. Okay, so making sure you're playing your position. If you see someone coming towards the ball, in this case here, go back to the position you were at. So if Lottie started committing to that ball and then realised Anna was there, then she commits back to the dot. Okay, don't just watch the player take a shot, because sometimes we don't take the shot in the circle. Sometimes quick passes down the channel, down the mouth of the goal, and then take a shot is more successful than taking our shot straight away. Okay, so hopefully you understand that one. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, girls, so we've got Lottie taking a penalty corner hit here. It's not Lottie I want you to focus on, though. The player I want you to focus on is Anna, who will come into the bottom of your screen once the player traps the ball. Okay, so let's watch this first, and then we'll analyse it. Stop. Okay, so let's rewind it, and let's watch it again. You don't even have to take it all the way back. I just want this position here. So Lottie's received the ball here. We've got Anna here, okay, who wants to receive the ball. What Lottie could have realised, though, is that Katie Ryan was free in here. So since Lottie was actually the hitter, and she was over in the wing, who was a centre forward, that's the idea that Katie Ryan should have identified that the dot was free, and she could have moved to that dot and taken that position, because then there would have been a really nice pass to the dot. Katie Ryan could have shot. Instead, Lottie decides to go for Anna. Now, if we continued moving forward a little bit further. Now, this is what I don't like. Anna is stationary, okay? She's expecting to receive the ball. However, the player in front of her is obviously in front of her and she's going to trap it. So Anna is assuming that she is going to trap the ball. She's going to miss the ball, sorry, as you can see here. Anna's ready to trap it, even though she's behind her player. So in these cases, girls, we need to make sure we're getting in front of our player. Okay, so if there's a player in front of you, you've got to make sure that you're moving in front of that player to receive the ball. Now, if you're behind the player as the ball's rolling to you, at least advance to the player and try and get the ball instead of standing behind them and just having your trap ready just in case they miss it. Okay? I mean, that was an easy trap for her. Alright? She didn't struggle at all. So we've got to make sure we're getting in front of our players. And we give the ball away, we throw it up in those kind of situations. Now, what I don't like in this clip either is these two players here. And that looks like Jess and don't know who the other player is. But it's this idea that why are we bunching up? Look, if this player here had come round a little bit further, Katie Ryan could have taken the dot, and we would have had numbers in the circle, as I was talking about earlier in this video, there's numbers in the circle on penalty corners because they have to push back. Okay, so maybe it wasn't the best pass, maybe Anna wasn't the best option, maybe Katie Ryan was the best option. However, making sure we're communicating, I don't know if she was, but maybe Katie Ryan wasn't making herself aware that the pass was available. If she had moved to that dot, I think the pass would have been a lot more visible. Okay, so Lottie may have got that pass off to her instead of having a hit. But the main thing I want to get out of this one is getting in front of our players. Okay, that from Anna is not what I want to see. Alright, I don't want to see people trying to just assume that the defender is going to mistrap the ball. Okay, so if that situation does happen again, we're going to make sure as the ball's passed through, Anna's trying to get in front of her player to receive the ball. If we reverse this just a little bit further, okay, watching Anna again, so this is the moment now where Anna could get in front of her player to receive the ball. Instead, she stays behind her, okay, and the player with the ball, the defender, traps it. Now, Anna could have signalled that she wanted the ball out this way, and she could have received the ball on baseline and then back to the dot, okay? Now, she thinks she's free at the moment, and I just want this idea that no matter what, if someone passes you the ball, you move forward to it, okay? Because that player is obviously going to move forward and try and stop it. Alright, that's enough of that one. Let's move on to the next one and see what happens. Alrighty, girls, so let's watch this one. I really want you to focus on Jess, who's in this area here. Okay, we'll watch and then we'll analyse it. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So it's this idea of going and leading into the space. Instead, what happens is we hit it smack bang into this hive of bees, okay? We're all bunched up in there. Look at this space we have out here. Massive amounts of space, and we want to utilize that space, okay? So as the ball is hit to Jess, this is the moment where Shauna, who's standing in this area here, could run out to the space. Miles and miles of space out here, okay? So that's the sort of stuff I want you to realize. Now, what Shauna has to realize is Lottie, she's a centre forward. She needs to be higher for a start. But she's occupying the space in here, okay? That's her space. If the ball, there's free space in there, that's Lottie's space. Shauna is a wing. She needs to be way out here, okay? Well, I'm assuming Shauna's the wing. So let's just assume in this case she is, or whoever is the wing, needs to be way out there. So as I continue going forward, as Jess traps the ball now, this is the time where Shauna would lead into the space here and call for the ball. This ball could then come into the space, and look how much space we have. That's an easy trap, shoot sort of situation there. But instead, there's no one out there. And in Jess's defence, she can't pass there because there's no one there. One other option she could have had herself was dribble herself, because there is a lot of space out there, okay? If this player here, who looks like might be Bridgman, but I'm not 100% sure, could start to lead into the space here, and then a square pass could come across for her to run onto. Okay, so it's this idea of through balls, as I talked about earlier in the clip. So Jess could have made a little through ball over here for this half to run onto if she was running into that space. If she wasn't running forward, then that wouldn't happen, okay? But it's just the idea that utilising the space that we have instead of smacking it, as you can see, straight back into the middle. Okay, so let's move on to the next one now. Okay, girls, so let's watch this one. Not as obvious, maybe I'm being nitpicky here, but let's watch it and see what happens. Okay, so a couple of players I want us to watch there. One is Shauna and one is Lottie. So let's fast forward a little bit. Okay. So, someone's got the ball. Dribbling forward. Now what happens here is Shauna here is standing behind two Southern players. 1, 2. The pass is never going to go to her. And what, however, has the ball does really well here is she's passing a through ball into that area, into that space out wide. Okay, now that's where Shauna should have been leading in the first place instead of standing behind her two players. The other option here, Lottie, who is our centre forward, should have been running into the space here. Again, tons of space in this area here. We want to utilise that. We've got Abdog over here who's playing nicely down the wing. She's in space as well. So if we could get that ball into this area, then we have a nice play. Okay. Instead, Jess, or I don't know if it's Jess, whoever decides to pass wide. Okay. Now, Shauna wasn't ready for that ball. If she was already on that wing side there, easy trap there. Lottie wasn't running. She needs to be running into that space again. And Abdog's there. Now if Lottie wasn't into that space, that's a potential opportunity for Abby to move on to that dot, so then Shauna could do a cross across to her. Okay. However, none of that happened. Okay. And it ended up being a bit of a fizzle of a play. So it's just that idea. looking for the space. Lottie, if she isn't going to push up into the area, which I would like her to, at least be square of the player. So there's a square pass over here to pass to. Okay? Just want you to identify the space in here that we could have used. Abby, you could have moved on to that dot if Lottie or the centre forward wasn't in that area. Okay? And Shauna, just make sure that if we're playing wing, that you're pushing miles out to the wing, okay? Because if the ball's on that side of the field, the wing wants to be right on that side of the field so we can distribute the ball wide instead of standing behind our two players. I don't want to see anyone standing in front of our players assuming that the ball will go through those southern players, okay? Let's move on to the next one. Now, I just want to... There's actually nothing wrong with this at all, okay? And what I really just want to... Oh, too far. What I really want to commend us on is Jesus ball into the circle here. And once again, Lottie, you're not playing high enough. Lottie, if Abby's on the wing there, you should definitely be on that dot. Okay, leave that work to the halves and the inners. Your job is to score the goals, not get the ball into the circle, okay? What I want to make really clear, though, is Jess's shot here. So as she comes forward, now she takes a shot, which is good, but she doesn't take a shot straight at the goal. She takes a shot wide to where Abby is. Now, in classic Abby style, we miss a deflection, okay? But very, very good in terms of the positioning she was in and the shot Jess took. And I want to congratulate you guys on shooting the ball wide towards the post. And that's how we scored our goal against Robertson. Okay? And that's the kind of goals we want to be scoring more of. So pushing the ball wide as we shoot it towards our post. Shauna's wing there probably should have been on her post just in case. Alright, let's move on to the next one. That was a pretty short one. The other person that could have run into the space is Jess here. Space here. Okay, I want us to use the space in the circle. There could have been easy ball right to the top here and then a shot. Okay, but instead, Jess had decided to stand there behind her defender and leave the space begging. So in this situation, Shauna, you could have moved into the space here to trap the ball. Okay, otherwise that should have been your ball, Jess, to move into that space there. Okay, utilize the space. Don't just watch. Once you made your pass, don't think your play's over. Okay, you've always got to be working. And as you can see, if we continue going forward, Katie Ryan wasn't moving. After she made her play and the ball came over here, she stopped. She needs to be moving. So if I move... Oh, too far. Once she's got the ball away, Jess has got it. There's a space in here. Now, Sean has made her run to the post. Katie Ryan, this is your area. You could have moved into here, so Jess could have made the pass to you. Okay? So this idea about thinking about the space and using it. Don't just give up once you've made the pass. Alright, let's move on to the next one. But I hope you got that idea of using that space in the circle when it's free. Okay? Okay, girls, this is one of the best examples of you guys using the space and leading into it. And we really want to watch Anna in this situation here. Absolutely fantastic. One of my favourite clips from this game. And just the way that she's using that space. Alright, so we'll watch it, then we'll rewind it, we'll analyse it, we'll look at the space, the one she ran into. But really focus on Anna here, please. Okay, now unfortunately there were... Oh, let's go back a little bit. There were two opportunities where we could have used Anna. Okay, so obviously long corner. I think it's Georgia here taking the ball. Okay, first one that Anna makes is this lead into this area here. There's space here, she uses it. That ball could have come through and into Anna. Now unfortunately it doesn't. Now there may have been space out wide, and I don't want to pick on you, Georgia, because there may have been space there that you passed to, which is fine. Okay, so regardless, there was that space there. Anna started out here, and then she moved in front of her player into the space. She didn't start in this area here, and that's the idea of making that space. But as you can see, as she moves forward, wow, against a better team, against St. Cuss, etc., this player would have come back in front of her. So it's really important that that ball's made fast to her and to her good side. If the ball was passed to that side of her, made it harder for her to get it, but it also made it easier for the defender to get it. Right, but as you can see now, is that this player here goes for the ball, which creates this space in here, which Anna then identifies and uses. Okay, so as you can see, the ball's been passed. Anna finds that space. Now this is the time where Anna needs to be calling for the ball, but she's running into this free space here, which is just perfect. That ball that's over here could have come through and into her, which it doesn't. Okay, now the reason why it doesn't is because we went baseline. Now we've talked about this at training, girls, is that we always want to try and get this ball through this area here instead of taking it down to the baseline as a first option, because if we get stuck in that corner, it's dead space, it's harder for us to get back in. So that ball should have come straight into Anna there. And what I just want to quickly nitpick on this play here is the idea of running a line on an angle in front of your player. So Anna probably could have made a slight more run in this direction, like Lottie was. Okay, instead of keep running backwards, because that allows your player to get in front of you. Okay, so just a slight more run forward into that space would have made sure that you had a little bit more time ahead of the defender to trap the ball. But absolutely perfect, and that's what I want to see us doing a lot more in long corners. You can see Anna's ended up over here using that space, and she started over here. So she's made a lot of distance to find those two spaces on the field, but absolutely perfect. All right, let's move on to the next one. Alrighty girls, so another good example of making a fantastic lead, and once again it's from Anna. But I think what I really like about this one is the way that she signals for the ball by putting her hand up instead of using her voice. Okay, so let's watch it first. We'll watch Anna, who's here. Okay, and the ball is coming in from over here somewhere. Okay, and it's going to go back and around. Just watch it and then we'll analyze it. Okay, so now whether the ball was meant to go there or not, and unfortunately Anna didn't trap it, what I want you to just identify, and if you didn't identify it the first time, let's watch it again, okay, is the space that we create when we've gone back and around. Now, as you'll see, there's 4 Southern players that go for the ball and chase the ball, which creates massive space in the middle of the field. And that's why we need to use our back and rounds a little bit more, and using our halves a bit more, attackers if we've got nothing on, is pushing it back and making those players move around a little bit more, working for the ball and creating space. So if we move back a little bit, okay, here's Anna here. She's found the space in here. Okay, heaps of it on the other side of the field, and that's what we talk about when we do our back and rounds. Now let's keep going forward a little bit. Stop here. You can see she's got her hand up and she's signaling for that ball. She's found that space. If I was going to be a little bit nitpicky, she may have started a little bit further over, put her hand up to point out to the left way, and then make that run into that space. She may have made that lead a little bit too early, okay, but still, nonetheless, fantastic, all right? So she's put her hand up. She's identified that she wants the ball. As you can see, she's quite stationary, and again, that lead could have been made a little bit later, okay, so she's running onto that ball as it's passed through. But I just want you to get the idea, girls, that when we do go back and around, it does create space, and when we're far away from our players, we don't necessarily hear them, so using hand signals or gestures that you want the ball is fantastic. And that's another example of where Anna started over here. She's ended up way over here because she's led into that space. Alright, and that's what I want us to be thinking about more in the games. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, girls, so in this one, we've got good spatial awareness from Katie Ryan here, who's this player here, and I think she's playing centre forward in this position, in this clip here. Good spatial awareness, she's found the space, she's free in the space here, and whoever gives her the ball, fantastic little ball there. What I want to focus on this time is Jess, who's this player here, and this idea of being square on support for the player. Okay, so let's watch it and then we'll review it. Okay, great ball to Katie Ryan. Now, unfortunately, she gets stuck because she doesn't have any options open. What I would have done in this situation myself, and Katie, if you get into this situation again, as you receive the ball, you've got the momentum going this way. You've got Abby out here. I would roll and turn and come out into this area here since you've already got the momentum. Instead, you try and come back infield, okay, and you slow down, you stop, you allow your defenders to come back. So a nice roll around and coming through here, what we do with our drags, probably would have been a better option. But let's just look at the situation as you did. You brought it back in. Okay. Now, unfortunately, Jessie J here is way too far back. All right, you need to be coming up and supporting and being square of the player. Now, unfortunately, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Southern players smothering Katie Ryan here. Okay, so we need to give her supporting options. Now, this might have been an opportunity with Shawnee. You could have come into this area here and helped her out. Okay, because you could see she was struggling. But the main thing I want to get out of here is that square pass. There always needs to be a square pass supporting the player. So Jessie J, you should have been running forward, maybe even on a slight angle, and getting square of Katie so she could have made a pass across. Alright? Do not stop and watch the ball as you did there. Okay, so that square pass is really, really important. But as I said, Katie, if you get in that situation again, use the momentum of the way you're going and roll that way. Okay? Yeah, so she stops. She gets stuck. She gets smothered. Katie, Jessie, that should have been you coming into that area there. I can keep going on about it, but I think you get the idea. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, girls, so on this one, we're looking at Jessie J here. Looks like a free hit, just at the top of the circle, so we're looking at Jessie J here. And also, I just want you to look at the run Katie Ryan makes in this situation. Obviously, Georgia, you had Anna free, which could have been another option, but instead you decided to go for Jessie J, which is not a problem. Yep, just make sure that you're looking at both sides and seeing what your options are before you make your pass. So let's watch it, and then we'll analyse it. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Okay, now the first thing I want to make sure is that square pass. Now, we're nearly square there, Jessie. But what I want to make sure is that we're really, really square. Okay, we're on a slight angle here. Okay, make sure you push back a little bit further and go really square of the player. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to make sure of. So we're on a bit of an angle. Okay, which gives, when we pass on an angle, we give the player a little bit more time to intercept the ball. The next thing I want to look at this is your trap, Jessie. And you all do it, so I'm not just picking on you. Trapping with our hands at the top of the stick. Not good, okay? We have no control on the ball, and as you can see there, the ball's bobbling around. Alright? Drop your hand a bit further down your stick. You have a lot more control. It'll be a cleaner trap. Okay? Regardless, let's say she trapped it nicely. Okay, now let's look at Katie Ryan. Now, Katie Ryan makes this lead into this area behind these two defenders here. Yes, she is playing centre forward, but if she had swung out a little bit here, and I don't know what's going on out there, I don't know where our wing is, I don't know what's happening, but if she had led out that way, then Jessie could have made a nice pass out that way. Okay, but instead, Cracker decides to run behind. Cracker decides to run behind these two players, which means that both these players have to mistrap the ball for her to get the ball. Whereas if she had made her lead out here into that space that was there, then Jessie J could have made a nice pass out into this area here for her to run onto. Just thinking about that idea that you don't always necessarily have to go to the position that you're at, okay, if there's no space. And I know I bag on about how you always got to be on the dot, okay, but if you've got two defenders in front of you, maybe that's not the best option at the stage. Maybe you're better off dragging out here, okay, and letting someone else, maybe Georgia or Abdog, who's out here, lead into this dot here. Okay, so using the space that you got available and helping your players out. Because as you can see, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Southern defenders all in that area there. Okay, so there's no way the ball's coming out here. It's not real chance of the ball coming out here. Okay, the only real chance where the ball's going to go, if it's going to continue moving freely and to a dive player, is moving out into this area here. Okay, does that make sense? Let's move on to the next one. Okay, girls, so let's have a look at this one. Georgia's got the ball at the moment in this area here. What I want you to see is the lead that Anna makes here, which is very, very good. And then I want you to see where Georgia goes once she passes the ball. Okay, so let's watch that and then we'll go back. Okay, so this part here I don't really care too much about in the focus of this clip. But let's watch this part. Okay, now as you can see here, Anna's recognised the space in this area here, so she starts to lead into it. Georgia makes this nice run into the space here. There is the space here, which she's run into, which is fantastic, alright? So she makes that run into that space, and she finds a gap which Anna's leading into that space over there. Fantastic little play there. That was awesome. Okay, and what I want to see here is right now, George has stopped. Okay, she thinks her job's over. She's stopped. She's stationary. She doesn't think about what could be happening next. All right, as Anna makes a play forward, Georgia could have been running forward because this player can continue running forward. Okay, and created some space somewhere else on the field. All right, so even pushing up a little bit further, Georgia, and into a position maybe out here. Okay, I don't know what you're playing. You might be playing a half in this position. I'm not 100% sure. But moving, both you two, 1, 2 are stationary. We want to have numbers forward. Yeah, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in the circle. We've currently got 1. Okay, so this idea that once we've got the ball going forward, you need to continue pushing forward so we can have numbers in that circle. Okay, so once you made that pass, find some space, run into it, and continue pushing forward so we have numbers there as well. And I think that's what St. Cuss did really well when they beat us, is they kept pushing forward and they had numbers and they were able to overtake us. Yeah, this is half the reason why we didn't score many games in this game, because we just didn't have numbers in the circle. All right, so pushing forward. All right, hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's move on to the next one. Actually, before we move on to the next one, we're just going to watch this little end part of this little clip. So this is the idea now. Jessie J's got the ball. It's the idea that Georgia should probably be at the top of the circle. Now, Jess cramps herself up. She has nothing on. This is the chance where Georgia, you could have made a call for the ball. Jessie J could have passed the ball back to you at the top of the circle. And then Georgia could have had a crack either way at goal. Okay? It's about calling, about communicating, and using that space. Alright? So Georgia probably should have been near that top of the circle there. Alright? Ready to receive the ball. The other reason why I want to be there is if the defenders try and clear it, you're there to trap it, get it back in, have another shot at goal. Okay, but instead, Jessie J gets cramped up. Alright, she has to do something with it. She tries to shoot. She pushes it. Easy for the defenders, and if the defender didn't get it, then the goalkeeper would. Okay, so just making sure that we're using the space. I mean, look at that space in this area here. Okay, so if you are stuck in the circle and you got the ball, look backwards, alright? Because most of the defenders are trying to protect this area here, or the goal, and not this area at the top of the circle. Okay? So if there is space there, use it. Alright, let's move on. Okay, so two people I want you to watch in this one very closely is Lottie here and Georgia here. Okay? Let's watch it, then we'll analyse it. Okay, let's move back a little bit. Not too far. Okay, so the first thing I want to look at is the receive that Georgia makes. Now, she sweeps straight into the circle. Now, I'm thinking to myself, is that necessary? Yeah, she had all that space. If we continue looking forward as she receives the ball, look at the space she has to trap first and then run the ball into the circle herself. Instead, she decides to sweep. Now, sweeping it straight isn't the end of the world, but when you're sweeping it here to where the players are, not good. If you had swept over here, we had 3 players to trap the ball. Now, I think the main thing about this is, or the golden rule or lesson I want you to get out of this, is when we just sweep it straight and we're premeditating something. Yeah, we're not thinking about what we're doing. We're assuming that we just have to smack it straight in. And that's the job of, for example, Kay Ryan, Lottie, Anna's probably over there somewhere. Those players saying, you've got time, which allows the player to know that they have got a bit of time to trap the ball and think about what they're going to do. But instead, we rush something that we could have made something out of. Okay? So in this situation, telling your players that you have time, so they have time to trap it and think about what they're going to do. Okay? So, first thing is, she probably should have trapped it. Second thing is, in this area here, when the ball's on this side of the field, this wing, okay, which will be left wing, alright, Lottie, you should be on the post by now, alright. That position here is, or that area there is for Ryan or Krakow, who's centre forward, okay, and as you can see here, as the ball comes in, Lottie, if you'd been on that post already, you would have been in a position to sweep that ball in straight away, but instead you're a little bit too far out, okay, and you really had to reach for it, and I don't think the result was as good as we wanted it to be. Okay, but that idea, Georgia, that you did have time, you could have trapped it, run it in yourself, and made something of it. Lottie, you need to be on that post. And Cracker, let's rewind a little bit further, and let's look how... a little bit further back. How we trapped the ball. Hands are a little bit too high, I'd say. We lost control of the ball, okay? So dropping our hands a little bit more, easier to trap, we'll have more control on the ball. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, that little couple of things on that play. Let's move on to the next one. Alright guys, let's look at this one. What I really like about this one is a dog moving into that space, using that space which we have over here. Okay, but what I really want us to focus on this one is the run that Anna makes. Okay, I remember how I've been batting on this whole video about how we want to be square to the ball. So let's watch Anna in this case here. Okay, so let's watch it and then we'll analyse. Okay, so in my opinion, Anna could have run a lot faster than what she did. Okay, for a start. Let's move back a little bit. So the ball comes out here, which is really good. Now what happens is when we run to space is that sometimes we're a bit stuck for people, and Avdog does quite well to get around it. Now one thing that Cracker could have done here was move into the space here, okay, and received a pass. Instead she stays behind her defender. And it's the idea, girls, that although we're playing positions, like hockey we do cross-match a little bit, and it's about using and helping players out if need be, okay? Abby was quite stuck in that situation, and no one was there to support her. Anna, you should have been running like hell, running into the square pass so she could have passed across to you, okay? What might have happened, or what could have happened here, is this idea of through balls again. Anna, as you're running forward, you could say square, square, square. That would require Abby to do a little push into this area here for Anna then to run onto. It doesn't have to be a pass to her. Okay, so that's one option. Otherwise, Cracker, you could have moved into the space here, okay? So Abby could have made a pass to you. Instead, she got a little bit stuck, okay, and we lost the ball. Okay, so hopefully it makes sense. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, girls, so on this one, I just want us to identify the space that was present with some players. I'm not going to tell you who, so you can think about it yourself. Okay, but let's watch this clip. Look at the space that's possibly around where the ball is. So the ball's over here. Okay, and then we'll analyse it, and I'll tell you where I thought the space was. Okay. Okay, so obviously we got the pass away, but we passed it through the player who was on point. Okay, so what probably wasn't the best option. Now Anna, forward a little bit. If we continue watching a little bit further. Look at the space in here. And this is half our problem, especially with our screens, is what we're not doing, is using that space. Okay, so this is the chance where there's no one in this area, so there's an easy pass out here. Okay, so Arnie, you just need to identify yourself and run into the space here. Okay, run to that space, take the ball, and then there could have been a pass made out wide to Abdog, or possibly the person who passed the ball straight. Okay, like a 2-on-1 sort of situation like we've done before. But instead, Arnie, you decide to stay there. Okay, now if that pass were tried to be made to Anna there, this southern player here would easily just cut in front and intercept. So this idea that Anna, you probably should have in this case run into that space that you should have identified and take the pass there. Okay, then the through ball could have been put into here. Okay, instead of standing still and letting someone intercept it if need be. Okay, now that the ball's come to Abby, is it? We've got a good pass away, and I want to make that clear that was a good square pass, all right? Passes from Abby to Anna. Anna was square in position, and the pass is easy, all right? If Anna was a little bit further back or a little bit further forward, it would have been a diagonal pass, and there might have been a chance that the southern player would intercept it, so that's really good. And then we've run into the space, and Anna, you're holding your hands on top of your stick again, all right? Some really good stuff in that previous clip. Alright, and there was also some bad stuff about the space that we could have used. But the square pass was really good. And as you can see, a square pass is a lot more successful. So let's watch the next one now. And then we'll analyse it. Okay, so let's rewind and we'll analyse that one. So what I really want to look here is the run Lottie made, which was very, very good. Anna had the ball, and it's this idea that we're letting the ball go too late, and it happens too many times in the game. We hold the ball for too long, we start to get cramped up, and then the opportunity that was there is no longer there. Okay, so Anna's running the ball. This is when I will pass it. Yeah, so Anna's got the ball. She's in a good position where she can quite easily push pass out to Lottie. This is also one of our players here. We're in free space out here. Use it. Okay, so that pass should have come now to Lottie. Okay, instead, Anna, you decide to hold the ball and you get cramped up. All right, there's a player coming towards you and you're having to use your reverse stick. You still hold it, and by this time it's way too late. We've got a southern player here who's ready to cover Lottie. Okay. And the play's not really going to happen as well as it could have if the pass had come a little bit earlier. So the pass comes now, and it's miles too late. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So as I said, pass could have come through now. Instead, the defender makes Anna go on her reverse stick, makes it a lot harder. If the ball had come through now to Lottie, yeah, if she made the pass now, Lottie would have received it. That would have caused this player here to start to move towards the ball carrier, which would have opened this gap up here for Cracker to run into. Lottie could have then made a pass to Cracker, taking a shot. Okay, so the earlier pass we make, the more we spread out. Okay, if Anna takes the ball over there herself, she's taking more southern players over there, yeah, which makes it harder for us to get the ball away. If she had passed it when she was over here, there would have only been one southern player who would have been on Lottie, but instead, if the ball had come through now, you've got 1, 2, 3 who are already pretty close to Lottie, ready to smother it. Okay, so that idea of just getting the ball passed early into the space instead of taking it with you and causing all the players to come over to where the ball is. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, girls, this is a classic example of long corner. It's something we struggle on quite a bit. And there was space in this area here, and unfortunately we haven't used it. Okay, so I really want us to watch Jessie J here, over here. Okay, and watch the space that she could run into. As you can see, we've got, I think that's a southern player there. 1, 2, 3, 4. All around Georgia, where are our players? We've got Lottie, who's behind her defender. Cracker, who this player could quite easily get in front of and take. We've got no one helping her out. Okay, Jessie J, you're on behind your player as well, who's here. Okay, so there's no one here. So I don't know what you guys are thinking right now. Are you assuming that Georgia's going to take the ball herself? Because that's not the sort of mindset we need to be thinking about. We need to be moving into space. So, as I just said, Georgia decides she takes herself because there's no one around to help her out. So let's watch this and slow it down. She takes it, stop. We'll go a little bit further, stop here. Right, Jessie J. Possible, and I might be pushing it to say this, there's a gap here. Okay, so Jessie J, you're too far away. Okay, when we've got players swamping us, it's hard for us to see space. Okay, so Jessie J, you need to be moving into this area here and calling for the ball. Okay, if we keep moving a little bit further forward, now look. Okay, you can see that this gap's open up quite a bit. This player starts to move over here. Okay, and there's this area here for us to pass through it. However, Jessie J, when you're too far away from the ball, sometimes if we're the ball carrier, we can't see these people because they're too far away. Okay, so that's your job to lead into the space here, maybe not all the way, just about to here, and call for the ball. So the ball could come through, you could trap, bunt, and shoot. Okay, at the moment you're too far away from the play, and to be honest, you're wasting a good opportunity, and you're never going to get the ball there. So let's start moving and thinking about the space that we have in this area here to run into. Okay, just that idea, girls, that we got to have people moving around the ball carrier in the long corners, and that's a classic example of when we didn't. Too many southern players, the ball carrier, the person taking the long corner, had to take it themselves, and we struggled to find space. All right, so Georgia did take it herself, and when we start taking it ourselves, girls, we start to open up these gaps. So before, when Georgia took it, we had no space in here whatsoever. Now Georgia's taking the ball herself. She spread out the defenders a bit, and we've created this gap in here, which Jessie J could have run into for the ball to come through. And I've said that too many times, but yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, girls, so I think this is actually Olivia taking this one, who's the ball carrier at the moment, who's here. Okay, so not so important in terms of no one in this attacking side has taken this ball. But it's this idea that we want to get the ball as wide as possible. So the ball that was made to her, probably not the best. However, Jessie J stops it. Square pass to Anna, and it was a good square pass. And this idea that we want to have people square because they're a lot more successful passes than if we pass diagonally. Alright, so this is a very, very good square pass. Maybe lucky we got it through the players. Maybe we should have gone the other way. but nonetheless a good square pass, alright? So let's watch this and then we'll go back and play it out, alright? Okay, so we made a square pass to put Anna into space, but let's rewind a little bit and let's look at the ball from Olivia first. Okay, so maybe Jessie J asked for the ball, I don't know. But what we had here is, as she moves forward, Olivia had a lot of space out here to Lottie. Now, Lottie should have been calling for that ball. Now, whether she did or not, I don't know. Okay, but even putting your stick up, Lottie, and identifying that you want the ball out there, a nice pass out here would have given us and opened up a lot of space. Then what could happen is Jessie J could have run into this area here, and we would have created something. Alright? Instead, and obviously this works, but when we play strong teams, it may not work as well. Okay? So the ball's been passed Jessie J, and the reason why I don't like this pass here is because we're staying around where all these Southern players are. We've passed it to Jessie J, who's around 2 or 3 Southern players, and that makes it a lot harder for us to get the ball away. Now, what makes this trap so good from Jessie J is that she's a lot more stronger on her stick. The ball doesn't, it bounced around a little bit, but not as much as the previous one that we looked at. Alright, and she's able to get control of the ball a lot faster. Now, what she could have done there, and I don't know if this was a fluke pass, a very good pass in the end, but what she could have looked for is Lottie out here. She was completely free. Alright, completely free space over in this area here, as you can see. Okay, but instead, we decide to make that pass square. Good positioning from Anna there. She's completely square. Alright, so we've got that pass there. And we've also got Cracker running into the space here, which is excellent. Alright, so we're starting to think the space that we're creating. Alright, we're just starting to look at the mindset that I want you attackers to be in. Okay, so we make that pass there. Alright, good. Good. She comes into the circle. Cracker's on the dot, which is perfect as the centre forward. She's in front of her player, which is fantastic. We've got Jessie J moving into that circle, which is good. We've got Abdog on the post there, and we're all starting to look in good positions. We even get a good shot from Anna, who passes to the post. Obviously, it didn't go in. I don't know if Abdog missed it or what happened, or whether the goalie saved it, but that was a good play from all of us there. All right. The only thing that I wanted to mention in that clip was that we could have pushed the ball a little bit wider from Olivia to Lottie, or Jessie J, you could have looked to pass wide where Lottie was in space. But again, that comes down to communication. If someone's far away from you and you want the ball, use your stick or use your arms in the direction that you want the ball, because the likelihood of them being able to hear you is not very high unless you have a voice like me. Okay? But overall, that was a pretty good play there. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, girls. So in this one, I want you... Fantastic run from Lottie there, but I really want you to focus on Cracker and the line that she's running. Okay, you're on. Alright, so let's watch it, and then we'll analyse. Okay, let's go back a little bit. We don't need to watch that whole run again. Right, so we're looking at Crack here, or Katie Ryan here. So this idea, though, that as Lottie's running forward, Crack is trying to support her as a player, okay, for the pass. But what she's in fact doing is staying behind the defender the whole time. What the defender does really well is keeping in front of Katie, okay? So Katie, in these positions here, we need to make sure that we're getting in front of our player. Okay, so if you want to be a support pass, which is good, you supported well because our inner was back here, so she wasn't in support. You were the only one around, so you needed to support her, which was good. The mindset was good. Okay, the execution wasn't so good. Okay, so if we rewind a little bit further. Okay, we want to be, so you're getting too far away from it. So if we come back a little bit further, let's keep coming back. Alright, so this is the idea. She's looking at you. Okay, she wants to mark you the whole time. So this is the idea that instead of continuing running here and making those parallel runs, we need to be running on angle and getting in front of our player. So it's about that cutting in front of our player, which is what we need to be doing. Okay, instead of staying behind her the whole time. If we stay behind her the whole time and Lottie makes a pass now, or now, the defender's always going to get it because she's in front of you. So if we're going to make a support lead for her, we need to be making sure that we're getting in front of our player to make that pass. Alright? Just wanted to get that idea that when we're making a support lead and when we're square of a player, which has been talking about a lot in this video, we want to make sure that we're square but we're in front of our players. We don't want to be running parallel with them. We want to be running on an angle so we get in front of them when we want to receive the ball. Okay? pretty straightforward. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so let's watch this one. The ball's over in this area here. Okay. And I want us to really look at Cracker and the lead that she makes. Okay, so let's watch it. Off we go. Okay, so let's rewind a little bit and watch that again. Now, I don't know who has the ball. Okay, I think it might be Georgia. Now, what Katie Ryan does really well here, she identifies the space in here, which is good. Very, very good. All right, that's what I want us to start thinking about. And she starts to lead out there. But then she sees Georgia coming through, and she starts to run back this way. Okay? This is that idea that we want the ball to come through early. Okay, we want nice early ball to our player. So, as she runs there, she stops, she comes back, and instead, she decides to run back behind her defender. Now, obviously, they're going to trap the ball every time, and that's what happened. However, if she continued making a lead into this area here, the ball could have come through this gap here for Katie Ryan. Okay? So, we started with the intention that we were going to use that space, but instead, we didn't because we ran back behind our defender. I don't want us to be running behind our defender. We do it too much. Okay? And we just lose the ball every time. So let's watch that one more time because I really want to emphasize what happened there. Okay? So we're even going to watch in slow motion. Okay? We'll speed it up a little bit. Okay? So Georgia's got the ball. Katie Ryan starts to make that lead. Heaps of space here, girls. Heaps of space in there. And it was a good idea. Good intention. Alright? So all Georgia then had to do was push that ball through that gap to Katie Ryan. Okay? But instead, Katie Ryan starts to move back, and I don't know why, okay? She starts to run back, traps herself behind the defender, and the defender stops as the ball tries to come through. That would have been a simple ball through that gap, but instead we didn't continue with the lead and use that space. Alright, now I've betted on enough about that one, so let's move on to the next, eh? Alright, girls, so let's watch this one. Anna's got the ball here. She's just come into the circle. And what I really want to look at is the lead that Craig's making. This is a little bit maybe personal in terms of what I think maybe should have happened, and maybe what I did wasn't wrong. Okay, it's just another way we could have done it. Alright, so let's watch it first and then we'll go over it. Okay, so firstly, okay, let's go back. Not too far. Okay. So firstly, if we look at it here, Anna's in a good position to make a forehand push. Alright, nice strong forehand push. If Katie had pushed slightly back, that pass could have come in quite easily from Anna there, and then the shot could have been taken. Okay, but instead Anna decides to move in herself. Now again, Katie is starting to move in behind her defender here. Okay, and she's making it hard for the pass to be made. Every time we start running behind a defender, there's no chance the pass can be made. So instead, girls, I want us to start thinking about pushing out a little bit. Alright, if we pushed out a little bit, Katie Ryan or Cracker, pass could have quite easily been made here. Instead, Anna is forced to continue doing it herself, and she gets on her four stick, or on a reverse stick, sorry. So what could have been done here, Anna, is you probably could have done a reverse stick sweep out to Cracker, who was here, who was actually free. Okay, but then what happens, and this GoPro is on the right-hand post, alright? So I don't know what happens here. And Shauna, I think you're playing right wing possibly, or maybe centre forward. But what should have happened here is as the ball came through, which ended up being a good ball from Anna, that should have been Cracker. That should have been your ball there. And I don't know what you're doing. Alright? But you should have, as Anna was starting to make that lead out there, you should have been making the lead infield. Alright? That should have been your ball, and Shauna had to go over reaching for it. Alright, so that was your job. Shauna, if you were centre forward there, you should have been on that dot. I don't know who was occupying that dot. I don't know if you were centre forward. But whoever that centre forward was, you should have been on that dot. Okay, once again. Just go over that one more time because it's really, really important that we have a look at this again. So Anna takes the ball. Could have been a nice pass through to Katie here. Okay, instead we didn't. She keeps running it herself. You could have pushed back here a little bit, Katie, and taken a pass. But instead we continue running behind and started moving behind our defender, which is not what we want to be doing. Okay, so she decides to take it herself because she has no option. Alright, she forces herself onto the reverse, which makes it hard. Anna, you could have made a reverse sweep to Cracker, who was out here, as a potential option. But then again, this southern defender could have possibly intercepted it. Alright, Said we push through. As Arnold was moving out here, Cracky should have been making the lead infield. Okay, so we could have taken that ball, and then Sean had to go reaching for it, which shouldn't have been her job. Alright, so let's move on to the next one. We're nearly done. Okay, girls, so this one here, we've got a long corner again, and it's sort of a similar situation to Jessie J's one. Alright, but this time I want us to watch Anna, okay? The ball's coming here from Georgia. Let's watch it. Okay, so perfect example of if Anna was square, the pass would have been nice. Alright, Anna would have received, but instead she was on the angle and it was intercepted. Alright, so let's reverse back a little bit here, or rewind a little bit, I shouldn't say reverse. Okay, so as you can see, there's a whole lot of space in here where the ball's square. So what Anna could have done was push up into the 23-yard line and make that square pass, which would have been an easy pass for Georgia. But instead, Anna decides, is it Anna? Yeah, I think it is. Whoever it is, decides to start here on an angle. Now, as that ball's trying to come across, the southern defender here can quite easily intercept. Okay, as we talked about those diagonal passes, square pass is a lot safer. Okay, so as I said, what should have happened as the ball was coming through, Anna should have made this lead infield slightly, so the pass was a little bit shorter, and to the 23-yard line, so the pass could have been made square. Alright, but instead, as we can see, the ball's passed on an angle out this way, and the southern player who was here can quite easily intercept. So, just that idea of moving back to the square line, whoever that is, it might even be Lottie actually, moving back into that 23-yard line so we can make a square pass instead of an angle pass. Every time we make an angle pass, easier chance of an intercept. Alright, it's a pretty straightforward concept. I just wanted to make an example of where we didn't do it properly, or we tried to pass on the diagonal. However, if we passed square, it would have been a lot easier. Making sure that we were leading in a little bit more if the situation came up again. Alright, so the pass is a little bit shorter instead of these long, massive passes. Because the longer the passes, the more chance there is of an interception. Alright, nice short passes, no intercept. Alright, next clip. Okay, so this one, girls, we start off by using our space while the ball comes from over here and moves into over here. Okay, but then we don't use our space while we pass to where all the players are. So let's watch it and then we'll analyse, alright? Okay, so it's this idea of going back and around, not back and straight up the middle. Okay, so we use our backs really well there, which is something we don't usually do as attackers. Alright, but we use them very well. Now, as you can see here, Cracker here makes a fantastic lead way out wide. I think she's playing as a wing. Alright, which is really, really good. But instead, whoever the player with the ball is there, as they receive, look, Cracker's gone. Cracker's gone. She's the only one that's gone out there. She's by herself. No defenders on her, so she's a free player. Alright, Shauna's also free, so the ball could have gone out to Cracker, back to Shauna and taken a shot. But instead, we try to pass to Jessie J, who again, we're behind our defender. If you could see that ball coming too, you want to start coming forward to the ball. Instead, Jessie J is standing there waiting for it, and as you can see, the southern player is there, ready to intercept or ready to trap it. Alright, so if the ball's coming towards you, girls, don't just stand behind your players. You need to be getting in front of them as the ball's coming so you can trap. Having said that, though, that wasn't the point of this one. This player here who has the ball, I wanted you to be pushing the ball out wide to where Cracker was. As far as I'm aware, and I can't obviously see, but I'm pretty sure she was the only player out there. Alright, but instead we try and pass to a player who was marked. However, having said that, though, she probably shouldn't have been marked. She probably could have got the ball if she had moved in front of her player. So as the ball's coming, she only realises last second that she has to get in front of her player to stop it. And she does all right there. Yeah? But I want you guys to get in the mindset that if the ball's coming to you, I want to be advancing to it all the time. I want to be going forward. As soon as I want the pass, I want to start running forward to where the ball is so I can get in front of my player straight away. Instead, I don't want it to be a last minute thing of, oh no, the ball's coming towards me, the defender's in front of me, I've now got to get in front and try and stop the defender from getting away. Alright? So Jessie J, as soon as you want that ball, as soon as you signal that ball, as soon as you see that ball coming towards you, you need to start getting in front of your player. Not at the last minute to make a tackle. Alright, you want to be the one trapping it. But as I said though, girls, we could have used that space out there because Cracker did make a very good lead out there. Fantastic. Cracker used the space. That was very well done from you. Okay? Just that idea, and then obviously we lost the ball, whereas if we had passed it, it would have been a lot easier. So this is the last play, girls, so we'll watch it, we'll analyse it, and then we're finished. Alright, hold on. Okay, so this one here, girls, Anna makes a fantastic lead into that space here. She's used that space, possibly behind a player, but she's too far away, so she's not really going to intercept if the ball comes through like a bullet. Okay, so that's the other thing. If you are behind a player, if you're miles behind them, then it might be alright. Alright, it's this idea that if Anna was here, standing behind her, then it wouldn't have been alright. Alright, but the bullet comes through, Anna receives it. Okay, and it's this idea though that I think Jessie J should have taken the shot here. So let's start, and then we'll go through it. So Anna receives ball here. Again, hands at the top of the stick, so it's not exactly ideal. Okay, but what we see here is he gets control of the ball, and now what you can see, you got Southern players, Africa over here. You've got Jessie J who's free. Okay, so what should have happened here from Anna is there should have been a quick pass. Jessie J should have done a little pop in front of her, and then she could have had a shot at goal. Okay, but instead, Anna tries to do it herself. Now, I don't know if that was a pass, but obviously you can see there were two players going for the ball. Now, obviously, if you're on your forestick, you're going to be a lot stronger than on your verstick, especially you guys who are developing as players. Maybe not so much when you get a little bit older, but for now, I personally would have left that for Jessie J to take. Alright, and this is a communication thing. Now, both of you were setting up to take the shot, which suggests to me that neither of you called for it. Alright, Jessie J, you should have called for that and taken that yourself. You were the one who was in space. Yeah, you were the one who was on your forestick, so you got to got a stronger shot away. Instead, Anna was off balance, and the ball went miles away. Okay? Just want to re-emphasize one little thing, and then we're done. This is it, girls. So, Anna receives the ball. Jessie J, you should have moved over here a little bit. Okay, so you were clear to Anna that you were free. The ball could have come to you, and then the shot could have been taken. When we've got 3 players in the circle, girls, we want to use them. Okay, and notice the idea that everyone wants to score the goals, but sometimes we want to make the passes that are easy so we can make those goals as a team. Okay, so that ball, Anna could have gone straight to Jessie J. Jessie J, you're probably too far infield, so you probably were blocked off by Anna. Anna probably couldn't see you. Okay, so just moving out a little bit. Now, if you trip the ball out here, you can then bring it infield because there's space. All right, you don't want to be too close to the defender, so you cramp yourself up and don't give yourself enough time. All right, but then that last little thing of pulling, I don't know, was that a pass, Anna, or was that a little push for you to make space for yourself? All right, but this idea that you both looked like you were going for it instead of calling for the ball. Okay, so that's Jessie J. I would have taken it myself. I would have said mine, or I'm taking this, or I don't know, calling for it, saying that you wanted it. Instead, Anna, who was off balance, who was running hard for the ball, made a shot that didn't go really anywhere at all. Okay? Just that idea of using the space. You might have to push out a little bit further in the circle, but if there's space, use it. Okay? Use little pushes inside the circle to make players, to give the ball to players who are free instead of trying to make something out of nothing yourself in the circle. Alright? We want to use those free players, otherwise we miss out on opportunities. So girls, that's the end of the Southern analysis. Hopefully you learned something out of that, and congratulations if you made it to the end of the video watching the whole thing. But it's just this idea, girls, that we want to be using the space that we have available. And this video, as I said at the start, was just so you could identify things that were happening around you, so you can start thinking a bit more that when you have the ball in a game situation, there are all these opportunities around you that you can use. It might be going back, it might be going square, not diagonal, as we saw why we don't do that in these videos. And yeah, so overall, girls, I obviously picked out the stuff that was weak in the attacking line, but there was also a lot of good stuff in there as well that I didn't pick out. Alright, as you can see in this video, there's a lot of space. Alright, and that's one of the big things I want you to get out of this video. There is a lot of space on the field. In any game that we play, there's always a lot of space, and we need to be using that space. Too many times, as we saw, we keep standing behind our defenders instead of running into that space that's free. Okay, now hopefully that you guys have identified that in these games there is a lot of space. I want you to be identifying that space and using it. Okay, if you got any questions about any of those clips or anything that you want clarified, feel free to flick me an email. Otherwise, girls, please do watch the other analysis videos because they are very helpful for your own hockey, and it starts to get you thinking and giving you knowledge as a hockey player on the field that will really help you in game situations. Alright, cheers, girls.